So the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Neera Tanden is going to be Joe Biden's head of the Office of Management and Budget, the OMB. And without hyperbole, this is Joe Biden spitting in the face of the left and of the Bernie Sanders movement in particular. On the face of it, you see Neera Tanden, and maybe it doesn't sound all that bad. There were some rumors of even more right-wing people taking a job like this. She's also from an organization called the Center for American Progress, the CAP, apparently ostensibly a center-left think tank and organization. But on all of her actions over the last few years, she has proven herself to be an enemy of progressives and of broader progressive ideology. And when it comes to the personality battles within the Democratic Party, I can hardly think of somebody worse than Neera Tanden to be put into a position of power. So first, it has to be remembered that she was one of the people all the way back in 2015, 2016, that helped to create the Bernie bro mythology. It was never true. Bernie Sanders did extremely well with women and men, especially young people, and did well with minority groups, especially young minorities. But the idea was that if they could paint Bernie Sanders, however unfactual it was, as the candidate for only white men, that could neutralize his progressive credibility and make Hillary, who was on the board of GD Walmart, which systematically discriminated against women of color when Hillary was on the board, it made Hillary look like the actual champion of diverse social justice. And a lot of us didn't believe it, but that was the narrative put forward by people like Tanden. It also has to be remembered that she's a union buster, that Think Progress, a site that was, connected to the CAP, when those workers unionized, she basically shut down the site to bust the union. And there were rumors that she was going to bring in scabs to run it over again. But the point is, this supposed Center for American Progress, under the leadership of Neera Tanden, busted a union. That's the reality. This is supposedly an administration that cares about workers, and they're giving a very important job. It's not necessarily a cabinet position, but it is a Senate required appointment position, meaning the Senate has to confirm it. Only big jobs get, confirmed by the Senate. So this person is getting a front row seat in the Biden administration. Worse than that was her position on oil and invasions. And this is something truly ugly. Most of you who are my core viewers will know what I'm talking about. But she wrote this years ago about how she feels the United States should finance their foreign policy excursions by stealing the oil of the countries they invade. And I'm not exaggerating. She wrote this back in 2011. Now you say that's not that, it's 10 years ago, but she wasn't a 20-year-old. She wasn't a 30-year-old. This is a woman who was already established as a professional, basically saying this during the Obama-Biden years. And she writes, "We have a giant deficit. They have a lot of oil. Most Americans would choose not to engage in the world because of that deficit. If we want to continue to engage in the world, gestures like having oil-rich countries partially pay us back doesn't seem crazy to me. Do we prefer cuts to Head Start or WIC or Medicaid? Because we live in deficit politics, and that's what is happening and will be happening even more." That is Joe Biden appointed OMB head now saying that the only way you can fund the programs of the needy is by stealing the oil money of developing countries that we're invading. That is her, less than 10 years ago. This is supposedly the most progressive administration in goddamn American history. And you have somebody basically, literally, she's a literal pirate. Literally, like the Jolly Roger just put it on her lapel. She's a pirate. That's what she wants to do, piracy or privateering or whatever you want to call it. That's what she's doing. Right? It's insane. And this idea that, oh, well, of course we can't raise taxes on the rich. Of course we can't cut military spending. The only choice is we invade countries to steal their oil, and I guess we don't have to cut the programs that the working class and the marginalized need. And there's other things too. Brianna Joy Gray has noted that, Neera Tanden, during the last stages of the Democratic primary in Florida was like the Bernie Sanders wing is trying to suppress the vote because, Bernie was like, it's not safe to vote during COVID and maybe we should postpone this to get mail-in votes for the primaries so that everyone can be as safe as possible. And Biden and ghouls like Tanden were basically like, no, we got to keep going. And then less than a week later, she's attacking Trump for putting voters at risk. And less than 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, she's like, oh, geez, the coronavirus cases in Florida are rising at an alarming rate. Well, it's like, yeah, because people like you forced people out to go out and vote when they didn't need to, when there could have been a delay to get mail-in ballots. And look, some of these things are unrelated directly to the position she might hold. But a person that has this sociopathy, this hatred of people, this desire to lie and mislead about progressives, you don't think that, that's not going to have an effect on her role. This is a person that, again, would rather invade developing countries than raise taxes on the rich. She basically says we either invade them for their oil or Medicaid gets cut. That was the situation, the dichotomy she was setting up. This person will be in charge of budgeting. Are we expecting Neera Tanden to put in a line saying revenue, oil from this country that we have yet to excursion into? I don't know. Probably not on the face of it, but that's who she is when the guard is down. That's who she is. This is a spitting in the face of the left. 100%. The interpersonal politics here are ugly too. No one was more bad faith in their opposition to Bernie. Lots of people disagree with Bernie. That's fair. I mean, they're wrong, but that's fair. You can have good faith disagreements with Bernie Sanders. People do. But Neera was never good faith about her disagreements. And when you combine that with the fact that apparently, this is somewhat breaking news, that Biden is still considering giving Rahm Emanuel a top appointment, maybe Secretary of Transportation, it shows that Biden will be doing nothing to actually, hear the concerns of the left. Not only picking good people, but not even just, avoiding the worst ghouls. They are going to blow it in 2022, in 2024, if they follow this path. Mark my words.